Welcome to the Audio Inc. Radio podcast, featuring interviews with the biggest names in rock and metal, hosted by Anne Erickson.
Get inked. Visit Facebook.com/Audio Inc. Radio, Twitter.com/Audio Inc. Radio, and AudioIncRadio.com for more ink. Whew, that's a lot of ink. It's AudioIncRadio.com.
What is up? It's Anne Erickson on Audio Inc. Radio. It's great to hang out with you. You rock. What can I say? You have amazing musical taste because I said so. Yeah, that's how I roll. I don't know. I'm kind of in a funny mood, but I am very excited because, as always, we have a great guest. You know that we have the biggest names in rock and metal right here on the Anne Erickson Show. But if you know me at all, well, first of all, you know that I love metal music. You know, I love Mastodon, basic stuff like that, basic Anne knowledge. But maybe you know that one of the very first bands I ever played on the radio was Shinedown. Yeah, Shinedown. I am just a huge fan of this band and the whole post-grunge movement. Back when their Leave a Whisper album was just out, one of the first records I ever played and one of the first bands I ever met in person. I will never forget the era of my life. It was just, when you look back on a first in your life and just a good first era, that's how I feel about Shinedown. In that post-grunge era, all of those bands have just a really special place in my heart. I've interviewed Brent and Zach and the guys of Shinedown many times over the years, but they have never been on the podcast until now. I've got a great chat with Zach Myers from Shinedown, who is extremely talented. He's been with them from almost the very beginning and just a great guitarist. This guy is a killer guitarist. He can play any genre too. You think of him just in rock, but whoa, he can play blues. He can play just any genre. Really great guy, very nice person, very talented, and he is our very special guest on the show. Get ready for a fun chat. They've got that new record, Planet Zero, out, which is epic. Okay, I've been listening to it actually for a few months because I got an advanced copy, and it's epic. It's another great Shinedown record from front to back, and it's just quite a journey. I will just say that. So check that out. And before I get into it, I just want to remind you that if you don't subscribe to the podcast yet, you are missing out on the biggest names in rock and metal. Just search Anne Erickson or search Anne Erickson on Audio Inc., wherever you rock out to podcast. Hit subscribe and you'll be instantly notified of the next amazing episode. Yeah, it is that easy. Don't forget, it's totally free, and I will love you forever. That is the bonus. I will love you forever. All right, I already do love you forever, but that's a little added thing. And hit me up on social media. I would love to chat with you. Find me on Facebook at itsmeanne.com. That's itsmeanne.com. Itsmeanne.com to link up on social media. Twitter and Snapchat at Anne Erickson, Instagram and TikTok at Erickson Anne. And if all else fails, you can just search Anne Erickson and my name will pop up. So check that out. And finally, check out my band Upon Wings at uponwings.com. And hopefully you will dig us. Always new stuff. Lots of new stuff out and on the way. All right, let's do it. Great chat right now with Zach Myers of Shinedown.
What's going on, everybody? This is Zach Myers from Shinedown, and you are listening to Audio Inc. Radio with Anne Erickson. Hi, Anne.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for making the time to do this. I know it's like a super busy time for you guys right now.
I know. I'm mostly just enjoying my last couple days at home, and then I leave in a couple days to start rehearsals and kind of get the show together and all that. So
yeah, well, that's exciting. Well, first of all, congrats on the new record, Planet Zero. I've heard the whole thing, and it's awesome. I don't know how you guys do it. You always put out just like solid stuff.
Thank you. First off, I always said, people will always kind of come to us, I guess, and ask about, the bands we came up with. Like, some of them aren't around necessarily anymore, or they're not kind of where we are. And the fact of the matter for us is we chose to, we chose to write songs that would, I don't know, maybe carry on a little bit longer. We didn't want to write party songs, and we didn't want to write, songs about getting laid and, getting hammered. It's just that was never our deal. It was more subject matter of, is this relatable now, and will this be relatable, in 30 years, and will people's kids want to listen to it, the same way they wanted to listen to it. So, I certainly, I appreciate how much people appreciate the work that we put in, I guess I would say. We do work hard at the songwriting aspect of it. We want to have things that aren't necessarily niche or, just for in the current moment that is happening right now.
I think that definitely lends to the longevity that you guys have as a band, that you write about stuff that people can relate to decade after decade.
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal. And Eric, he said this 10 years ago now, I would always reference it, but, Eric always said we never had a Jack and Diane, which Jack and Diane is a song that I love, but, we've never had this, story about someone else. Everything that we've written is kind of something we've gone through or, at least had a part in going through. Other than this record, I mean, this record is not necessarily autobiographical, as it's more, we're an observer of kind of what's happening in the world and the things that have gone down in the last, especially 2 years with COVID, but a little bit even longer than that with, the whole cancel culture thing and a lot of that. So yeah, it's this record. If you're kind of a hardcore fan of Shinedown and you delve into lyrically what we've done before, you're going to get a different vibe from this one, because it's way more guardian observer than it is first person.
Right. And I've read that thematically, quote unquote, Planet Zero is a warning about our potential future if we continue down the divisive path that we are on. So I was wondering, can you kind of elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, we live in this society that is so matter of fact. There's no room for error whatsoever. All these people who have made, just as many, if not more, mistakes in their life are trying to cancel somebody who, wrote something on Twitter 15 years ago, when 15 years ago, it wasn't necessarily a smart thing to say, but it also wasn't necessarily frowned upon either. But, we're getting in time machines to go back and cancel movies that were made at a time when it was perfectly okay to make them,
Yeah.
So, it's, it gets to that center of, we're really kind of asking questions about, like I said, we're in this place now where it's like people are deleting their grandmothers off Facebook just because their grandmothers have a different political opinion than they do. And it's kind of wild to see, and live through and watch. I have 2 young kids, so I want to know what we're going to leave for them and what is going to be around and how kind of wacky it's going to be,
Do you think that music is a force that can bring people together who might not have much else in common?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've always thought that. There's, I think that every single night when I go on stage, there's a room full of people that probably, our fans are pretty vast in the sense of their maybe political opinions or their social opinions or what have you. But, I think that that's what music is, as far as a room full of people who, do that,
So one of my favorite tracks off the record is Daylight, which I know is the second single. And that track seems to be written a lot about, kind of like the past 2 years and the pandemic and that sort of thing. So I was wondering, tell me the story behind Daylight and kind of why you guys chose it for the second single.
Daylight is, I go back and forth with songs on the record as being my favorite song on the record. Daylight's been my favorite song on the record for the longest amount of time. When we wrote it, I remember it was me, Eric, and Brent, and our friend Dave. We were in California. And usually after we write something, we'll once we listen back to the final demo, we'll go around, kind of ask everybody what they think about it. And I remember I went last that day, and I kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say boldly stated, but I said, I want you guys to remember this moment because this is possibly the most important song we've ever written. I think that it's a song that people need to hear right now. I think it's a very hopeful song. I think it's a song that's going to, be nostalgic for people in a way and hopefully, help them remember somebody that they lost or, you know, or somebody that was there for them. You know, it's kind of more of a song about somebody who was there for you through everything, no matter what, and refused to kind of leave, you know?
Yeah, no, that's definitely, for me, that's my favorite. When, my first few listens through the record, that's the one that really stands out. And another one that I really like is A Symptom of Human Being. So can you tell me about that a little bit? It kind of reminds me of, at least maybe not lyrically, but melodically and like as far as the vibe, a classic Shinedown track.
Yeah, Symptom of Being Human is, you know, it's a song that as soon as I didn't, that was Eric and Brent who wrote that, and that was one of the first kind of ones I heard that they sent, and I loved it. You know, Until Daylight, that was probably my favorite song, just because it has this kind of nostalgia feel. You know, it's like almost like a song like Misfits does from us. You know, like of this kind of like it. I think it's a song that puts you in a place mentally, no matter what life you live, no matter what you believe, no matter what you say. Like everyone has that kind of feeling of like, you know, sometimes feeling like you're the only person going through a certain thing, you know,
Yeah,
and then,
yeah.
but also knowing that you've also got other people that are like you going through it, you know, and having somebody who's there for you, you know, this is, you know, I'm not going to, I'm not going to pour a bunch of powdered sugar on this record and say, oh, it's like an upbeat record. It's not. It is a dark record on purpose because we just went through a very dark time and are kind of still in it. You know, this isn't a happy record by any stretch, but there are lights. There are beams of light that kind of poke through in this record to let you know that, you know, maybe something of a revival is coming. You know, it's you know, songs like Symptom, songs like Daylight, songs like Hope, you know, and you know, that's kind of what it is to me. But yeah, I'm with you. It feels classic Shinedown, mid tempo. You know, I told somebody the other day, I was like, they're like, well, what are the songs like? I'm like, honestly, like the heavier songs are heavier, and the mid range songs or the mid tempo songs are more mid tempo-y. Like they're, you know, it's definitely, you know, one of the heaviest songs we've ever, probably the heaviest song we've ever written is on the record, you know, so.
Which one is that?
Probably No Sleep.
Okay, yeah, I know that was heavy. And it was cool how on the record you've got like 30-second little things between the tracks and stuff like that. It's very different. What gave you guys that idea?
That was all Eric Bass. I mean, Eric is, he would get so mad at me for saying this. I think Eric is probably the most underrated rock producer out right now, even though he doesn't really want to put that stuff out there, you know. But to me, he is like, you know, for me especially, you know, I think that when he sits down to do a record, what happens is once we leave, like once all the basic tracks are done, he kind of will do his own thing. Like when I remember specifically leaving Cut the Chord on Threat Survival and the way it sounded, and when I came back, it sounded like the song. And what I mean by that is like all these extra sounds in the choir in the beginning, and you know, the freedoms and the horn, that little horn in the beginning. None of that stuff was there when I left. You know, that's kind of when Eric really starts to get in there and do his thing, is after everyone's gone and he's in his studio by himself, and he starts to add all these things.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, but I mean, you know, that's kind of where that came from. And honestly, you know, some of the words in those interludes are just as important as some of the words in the song, I think.
So it's great to have live music finally back for the most part. What was that period like without live shows, and how does it feel to be back and be, you know, doing rehearsals again and getting ready for a bunch of touring?
It feels good. You know, for me, you know, leaving two kids is a little bit, you know, it's hard. You know, it's not easy for me to, especially with the pandemic that just happened. You know, like I got to just be a dad.
Yeah.
You know, for a couple years. You know, so for me personally, you know, I when I now looking at a tour, like staring down this whole year, which is a lot. It's okay. I get excited about doing it, and I get nervous about leaving home. It's like it's sometimes you can tell people that and they think you're not excited about the one thing because you don't want to leave the other thing, but that's not the case with me. I'm getting older. I've kind of got my bearings about me and kind of know where my feelings are and all these things. It's like somebody asked me the other day, like, do you still love touring? And I'm like, no, I hate touring. I love playing shows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've toured. I've seen everything. But I enjoy playing shows. But really, you sleep for 6-7 hours a night, and then the rest of the day until the 2 hours you play are kind of monotonous in a way. We work out together as a band. We eat our meals together as a band. We get along still very well as a band. So that's kind of fun. I miss my guys when I'm not around them. So that's a good time. But I'm looking forward to this one just because me and Brent have been in design hell for a month and a half, kind of designing this thing. So I'm kind of ready to see it come to life.
Yeah, no, it's funny because when I interviewed Mark Tremonti last year, he said the same thing. He's like, well, I'm excited to get on the road, but I've been able to be a dad for the first time ever, like full time. And so it's kind of like a mixed bag. I'm so excited to be back on tour, but for the first time, like I've experienced what it's like to be home with my kids all the time,
Oh yeah, no, it was the greatest thing about that kind of stuff. Like just the time that you'll never get back was truly amazing.
So last fall, you guys released a feature film as a visual counterpart to Attention, Attention, to that record, and it was just made available worldwide, which is awesome. So tell me a little about that and what that experience was like, releasing that feature film.
It was cool. It was hard to make. We kind of pulp fictioned it in a way with the last thing. We had already made 4 videos. So how do you fit the stories kind of in there? Like with making the videos in between. So it was fun. It was hard, but it was fun. When we ended up doing the last. I think we put out 3 before the movie came out, 3 or 4 maybe. Yeah, so Devil, Human Radio, Get Up, and Monsters before the movie came out. So we had to go film all the other ones. And it was good. We worked every day for like 2 weeks, every single day. I don't think we took a day off. So it was a lot, and every video is very different. It's very, you're a different character in each one.
Yeah.
It was fun. It was good. I'm glad people finally got to see it because it felt like for a minute there, it felt like we had done all this work and it felt like it was never going to come out.
So next year actually marks the 20th anniversary of Leave a Whisper, which arrived in May of 2003. And I know that you weren't with the band at the time, but I want to know, what does that record mean to you and to Shinedown, even those who didn't record it but perform it live every night?
I mean, here's the thing, though. I joined the band on that record,
Oh, okay, on that tour. Cool.
They were in the middle of touring on that record, yeah. So, yeah, I wasn't on that record. I mean, I wasn't on Us and Them either. I was already in the band when they made it, but yeah, I wasn't on Us and Them either.
Okay.
It was, it was fun, because honestly, for me, it was, I don't know, in a way, it was almost the simplest time I've ever had in my life, to where, like, I was brought in. I was a hired guitar player. I didn't have to do a meet and greet. I didn't have to do, I had no obligation other than to go on stage and play guitar and just kind of fill in this gap, that they were missing. And I loved it. And it was, I don't know, maybe sometimes I miss it. There's a lot of responsibility now when it's partly your band now, when you share it with 3 other people. Then it was just like, oh, this is just a simple life. I just have a gig. I make money. But no, it was, it felt good. I wanted to join the band because I liked those songs. I always loved those songs. So it was definitely something I wanted to do.
I feel like that was such a special time in music, like the whole quote unquote, like post grunge era. I just feel like bands like Shinedown and Seether, I feel like it was just a really special time, and you guys are all still out there making music too. It's fascinating how this, genre has lasted so long.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, listen, people are always, rock music's always going to be there, right? Like people can say it's dead or whatever. And yeah, maybe in the top 40 world, because back in the day, rock was in top 40. You know,
right.
But
right.
I think if people keep, here's the thing, the market has to stop being saturated. I think bands need to care a little bit more about the songs they write and less about their social media followers or what have you. I think that when you write the songs and you do the work, then it starts to matter. Then that's when people are going to come to your shows no matter what. And I think that's what's important. If you do the work and you write the song, that's kind of the way to do it.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because unfortunately today, I feel like a lot of bands kind of get in that feeling that, oh, I have to do all this stuff on TikTok and social media. And instead of working on the actual music, they're just trying to work on the brand.
Oh, yeah. And that's, to me, like, I used to be that guy. I used to, dress the part and do all these things. And, and then you realize, like, listen, like, I don't need to be this rock star that everyone thinks I'm supposed to be. Like, when I'm off stage now, I dress like a dad because I'm a dad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I wear sweatpants all day and, band t-shirts because that's what I enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of, what I really, that's who I am off stage. And I don't want to be like a fake persona of something I'm not, so for me, that's how it is. But yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. It's kind of annoying to see a lot of bands do those kind of things where you're just like, all right, this is a lot.
It kind of reminds me of, like, supposedly in the 80s with the hair metal, how, like, it was awesome. And then, like, bands, like, all they cared about was image. And so that genre eventually, died off or whatever. Sometimes I feel that way now. It's like, all right, we just want the music. Like, just focus on the music.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, that's kind of where we are now, though. That's kind of, it's like everyone cares about their followers and how many followers they have and all these things. And it's like, oh my God, none of this really matters. Like, yeah, we do live in a world where, like, obviously your social media followers really matter, but at the same time, like, it's not, I don't know. I could care less how many people follow me on social media.
There are a lot of bands out there who don't have the biggest social following. You'd be surprised. You go, I mean, let's say they have 1 million, but they're like a huge band that's, selling out arenas and stuff like that. So it's not always indicative of the popularity of a band and kind of that, like, selling power.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. And that's, but, that goes to show you, listen, we've never been nominated for a Grammy. We sell out arenas,
mm-hmm.
And we've had more number one Billboard active rock songs than any band ever, but we've never been nominated for a Grammy. And it's like, I don't, mm-hmm. People look at success very differently, and as I get older, I certainly do. I don't, for me, I don't look at success in a vacuum. I don't look at this thing and go, oh, well, this has to be this or whatever. Like, for me personally, I look at it as, do people come and see my band play? Mm-hmm. Okay. Do people like what they hear when we put stuff out on the radio? Okay, then you know what? Then I'm set. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't need anything else. I don't need any of this. I don't need to be this guy who, has all these things and is nominated for every award. Like, I don't care about awards. Yeah,
that blows my mind, though, that you totally should get a Grammy, but it doesn't matter, as you mentioned, but you totally should.
I can't express enough how much I could give a flying shit about winning it. Like, honestly, like, I know tons of bands that win Grammys that can't draw 200 people in St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah, no, I totally.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I don't need a trophy to know that the work has affected people.
Yeah.
No, I preface this as much as I can. Like, I don't possibly think I could care less. Like, everybody's like, oh, but you'd want to, like, I'm like, dude, I'd give it to my mom and dad. That thing would never come inside my house. I don't care.
Right. Well, Zach, thank you. I had a great time talking with you. Is there anything else you'd want to add?
No, I'm just excited for people to hear the record.
No, it's so great. I mean, I got to listen to it all morning, and it's just a killer record. And I've been covered you guys for so many years, so I think it's, one of your best. But every record keeps getting even better, which is hard to believe.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
There we go. A great chat right there with Zach Myers of Shinedown. Thank you for being an awesome guest on my show. Just what a great person and fun to talk with. Just really cool chat right there. Don't forget to check out that new one from Shinedown, Planet Zero. It's a great record from front to back. Just if you dig the classic sound of Shinedown, you'll find a lot of good stuff. And if you want to hear something kind of different, you'll find that too. As you mentioned, some really heavy stuff on there. Very melodic stuff, just a really cool mix. Check that out. It's Anne Erickson, and hey, if you do not subscribe to the podcast yet, shame on you. What are you waiting for? Do it right now. I promise that you'll love it. You'll find the biggest names in rock and metal music. You'll find us, just search Anne Erickson or search Anne Erickson on Audio Inc. Wherever you rock out to podcast, hit subscribe, and that's it. You'll be instantly notified of the next big episode. And if you want to reach out to me online, I would love to hear from you. Hit me up on Facebook. You can just search Anne Erickson and my page will pop up. Twitter and Snapchat at Anne Erickson, Instagram and TikTok at Erickson Anne. And another really easy way is just head to itsmeanne.com. That's itsmeanne.com. itsmeanne.com to link up to all of my social media. And finally, check out my band Upon Wings at uponwings.com for my music. Check it out and hopefully you will enjoy it. I hope to hear from you. Let me know if there's a guest that you want to hear on the show or anything else. But for now, have a great one. And until next time, be safe, God bless, and we'll rock soon. Anne Erickson, The Anne Erickson Show on Audio Inc. Radio.
It's Audio Inc. with Anne.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Audio Inc. Radio podcast. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Get inked online at audioinkradio.com. I'm Anne Erickson for the Audio Inc. Radio podcast.